Hello everybody, it's Joe again. Another cool 3D printing project for you today. In fact, this one's less tip and more project. Christmas is coming up, right? Or if you're watching this in the far future, well, there's always a Christmas coming up, right? And lithophanes make great Christmas presents. All you need to do is get a picture of your friends and family, and then you can make it into a little object, where the depth of the object, when you shine a light through it, creates the illusion of depth of light. Okay, it's not an illusion because it really is depth of light. But regardless, when you look at it flat without light behind it, it kind of looks. And then you hold it up to the light and they go, "Wow!" Every time, give somebody a lithophane, they go, "Wow!" It's amazing every time. And so we're going to go over how to do a lithophane because it's so easy to do if you know Blender. But before we do that, I need to show you this. See that inner tube hanging up there on the ceiling? Way up there where it won't bother anybody? Yeah, the hook worked. Hook worked great. 100%, man. Really happy with the way the hook worked. So, let's get into this lithophane project, okay? To make a lithophane, the first thing you do, start Blender, right? I've got my panel open here. By the way, guys, I tried to get a thing where you could see my keys because the screencast key add-on in Blender disappeared in the latest version, and I'm really sad about that, and I haven't found a good way to do that. So if you know of a good way that I can display my keys on a way that Open Broadcast will let me record them, please tell me. But meanwhile, I'm going to walk you through how to do this as best I can. So the first thing you do, you come over here to the edge. Are we capturing mouse cap? There's my mouse pointer. Okay, you click on the textures. You create a new texture. Make sure it's an image or movie. It's not going to be a movie. It's going to be an image. And you open an image. And you go to a place where you've got an image. And you say, open that image. There's my face. There we go. Hey, all right. So we're going to take that and we're going to take that texture and displace it onto a grid. So Shift A with your mouse hovering over the 3D window here. A grid. The grid object is, well, it's basically a plane. I mean, you look at it, it looks like a plane, but, it's still remembering it from last time. Okay, pretend that says 10 and 10, because originally these settings over here are 10 and 10. And, you look at this, and it doesn't look like, anything, but if you go into edit mode, it's got 10 points by 10 points in it, there's lots of things you can do with this. You can make flags with this and they'll wave if you turn a cloth modifier and things like that on it. But I have to delete this and re-add it because down here where you can change the subdivisions of it, you can only do that until you edit it. Once you edit it, once you change it, this option goes away. So what should you set it to? Well, here's the beauty thing. You can set it as high as you want. If you have a high resolution picture, you can set it for one grid point for every point on your picture. I recommend, however, I've had really good effect dividing those points in half. Now, because I'm recording, I can't do super high res or the machine will lag. So I've got a low res picture. And if you look down here, in your texture, right here, it says the size of the picture. I have a low-res picture, 640 by 480. I'm going to make it 640 divided by 2, which is 320, by 240. No, sorry, I did the division in my head. 480 divided by 2, and that comes out to 240. And so now, if I go into edit mode, you can see that this is it's a lot of points, and so it looks like it's just solid black. But trust me, it's 640 or 320 by 240. However, it's square. And that's a problem because the original picture here, 640 by 480, is not square. So we're going to have to resize it. Real simple to do. That's why I have the panel open here. You can press N to open and close this properties panel, and you can type in the dimensions. So let's do that. What dimensions to do, though? Well, here's the thing. You want whatever dimensions you have to be proportional to the size of the object originally. Or, I'm sorry, the size of the picture. So if you've got a widescreen picture, you want it to be widescreen. If you've got a 3x4 or whatever, if it's tall, you want to match the resolution. So just make it a multiple of that. It's 320 by 240, right? Well, I'll do, I don't know, 32.0. I'll just divide it by 10 by 240, or 24 by 0. And now, there you go. It's the same proportion as my original picture over here, even though it makes the picture square. I don't know why. It does it. But never mind. It's now proportional to the pixels in the original picture. See? Neat trick. Now that it is proportional to it, you kind of got the scale factor going on, but never mind. Now you can scale it, and as long as you scale it in the X and Y, you can even hit Shift Z so you're not making it any thicker. Even it's flat right now, but it'll be thick in a second, and that'll be important. You can size it up or down and keep an eye on your dimensions till you get it to what you want. The lithophane that we are going to be making today is going to be about, actually 32 millimeters. That's 3 centimeters. Yeah, that's too small. We want to make this thing at least, about 90 millimeters in the X. And I'm just going to eyeball it. No, I'm gonna scale it up by 3 exactly. 96. Maybe a bit large, but we're going to go with it. That's fine. Now, go over here to your modifiers. Add a modifier. You know, I want to make sure that my Z scale is 1. Add a displace modifier. Select your texture that you have there. And poof, ta-da, there's the picture in it. Kind of. I mean, what it does is it takes the high points of the picture and the low points of the picture, and it puts them so that the whites are higher and the blacks are lower. But here's the thing, that's actually backwards of what we want. So we change the strength of this to -1, and now the whites are lower and the darker colors are higher. Cool? Except -1 means that the highest point is going to be 1 above this, or the highest point is going to be 0.5 millimeter above this, and the lowest point is going to be 0.5 millimeter below. We actually want this to be about 2 millimeters thick. So I'll explain it to you in a second. But suffice it to say that the bumpy parts have to be 2 millimeters thick, and then below that there has to be 0.5 millimeter. So 0.5 millimeter, and then 2 millimeters for the distance between. The 0.5 millimeter, if the white parts are 0.5 millimeter, those turn out kind of whitish. And if the black parts are 2.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters above that 0.5 millimeter that we're going to put on the bottom, then they look blackish, and everything in between kind of falls in. So -2 for the strength is perfect. Now, here's what we got to do. We have to apply this modifier, then go into edit mode. All these points are kind of hard to see because they're all just points, but if you hit Control-Shift, or Control-Alt-Shift-M? Yes, Control-Alt-Shift-M, you select the non-manifold points. Now we're kind of being tricky here, because right now the only a manifold object, and I'll have to explain this in another video, but a manifold object is one that's complete and sealed and ready for 3D printing, right? But this isn't, because it's just a flat object that we wibbled and wobbled. We need to make a complete object. So the first thing we're going to do is select all the points around the edges here. Hit E to extrude. Then, you know, we can extrude them up or down or wherever just to get them out of the way here. Then you hit scale in the Z by 0, and it flattens them all out. Now they are all perfectly on the same Z, but this isn't where we want them necessarily. We want them either at the highest point or the lowest point. And I like to do them at the highest point, and I'll show you why later. So I'm going to set their Z to be 2. Local, global, doesn't matter, because they're the same. Oh wait, not 2, 1. Sorry. I'm glad I saw that. 1. Now they're all sitting at the highest point. Now, extrude again, press E, and then press Enter because you don't want it to move, but then press S to scale them and move them out a little bit. And you can scale them in the X and the Y, whatever you want to do. You can grab just the ones across the top and make sure that they're lined up properly. But this is creating a little edge around our lithophane, a little frame. And those frames I find are very useful for a lot of really cool things. Back into edit mode. At this point, I like to box select the points with the middle mouse click to deselect them. Find the one in the very, very, very corner here and click select and unselect it so that it's the last one selected. Then press Alt-M to merge them all into that last one selected. This is kind of a method of reducing the points because all of this has a ton of geometry in it. We're just going to get rid of a lot of that geometry. Over here I'll do the selecting again, this time with my select button, which I set up to be my left. But again, I'm going to grab this one in the corner and deselect it and select it and Alt merge them to the last one. So this is reducing the number of vertices that we have. Another trick is I could just select that one first and then use box select to get the rest of them. And I plan to do another video talking about fixing meshes and things like that. This is maybe a little preview of that. You know, funny thing is I selected that one first, but if I choose last, it's going to do that one again because everything that you select with the box select or the C circle select tool, oops, wrong one. So B to box select or C does this circle select, and I'll be using that later, doesn't count first or last because you select them all at once. So it just, instead of not knowing what to do, it doesn't do any of them. Now I'm gonna clean this up. If these points are at what in the Y? Ooh, I don't like that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come out. I'm going to hit Control A, and I'm going to apply my scale, rotation and scale. That way, these points are what I'm looking for. They're the global points. That point is at 36 on the Y, so this point is going to be at 38, 40. Yeah, 4 millimeter stick. Yeah, that'll work. Do the same with these points at the bottom. Negative 40. These points are at x equals 48. So these points are going to be at x equals 52. Yeah. So it's 4 millimeters on the side. 52. Nope, negative 52, negative 52, negative 52. There we go. So now we've taken this point, and it's still just a flat object. Notice the bottom of it. We need to finish out the box. So here we go. Let's go back into edit mode. You can either hit Control Alt M again, or you can just hit Alt and select one of the points on the side, and it'll select all the edges. Extrude in the Z negative 2.5. Will that do it for us? Will that put it where we want it? I feel like... No, that's correct. Lowest point's 2.5 below that. Perfect. Now, almost done, except the bottom is still this, it's open. You press F, because you've still got all those points selected. Boom, we got a completed lithophane. Okay, there we go. It's a solid object. You can take this thing, you can print it out, and it will look like this. I prepared it earlier. Okay? Now notice I'm putting my hand behind it so you can't, so the light that's in here isn't shining through it, and it doesn't look like much, but then you take it away and you hold it up to the light and whoa! It looks just like without light, doesn't look like much. With light, wow! Every time. Lithophanes are cool. Now, I mentioned this because I mentioned this now. I mentioned Christmas at the beginning of this, right? I mentioned Christmas because go on to Facebook and take people's pictures. Oh, notice I took this one and I just took a little cylinder and I punched a hole in it and I booleaned it to this one and I made it so that you can get those little hooks that you can stick onto windows, little hooks with plungers on it, and you put it on the window and the light for the day will shine through it. Go on Facebook, get people's pictures, get baby pictures, and these make great Christmas gifts, just as is. But there are other cool things that you could do with this. You could take this object and a cylinder. Let's just take a cylinder and we're going to scale this cylinder up, and then we're going to Boolean, intersect it with the lithophane, and hopefully this won't lock my computer up, because there's a lot of points in this mesh, and it'll think about it really, really hard. I mean, seriously, it's thinking about it incredibly hard. But now you've got just a circle of it, and you could try this. Make a 3D printed mug out of this, so that when they drink and they can see at the bottom, and it's whatever picture you put at the bottom there, and they look at it, but there, it's cool, right? Right? How cool. Oh, and the other thing is, these do kind of work if you use them backwards. The light's shining in on the backside, and it's a little bit fuzzier, but it still kind of works this way. So if you do the mug, I would recommend making it so that you glue the lithophane on the bottom of the mug with the ridges pointing down, and maybe make a ridge for it or something. I'm not sure I would recommend making the ends, because that's goobers would get caught in there. You don't want to do that. You could do, there's so many things, and in Blender there is software to do lithophanes, but in Blender you could do whatever you want with them, and it's cool, and you can make your own project. So there you go. There's a great Christmas idea. There's a Blender project that you can use for 3D printing. Excuse me. I also recommend that when you 3D print these, you 3D print these laying down. Now, that means that depending on your layer resolution, you're only going to get maybe, 16 or 20 color layers out of it, because every time it does a layer, that's as much color as it can do. Some people try to print them vertically because they think that they can get more detail with them. And if you do that, use only one shell and 100% infill. In fact, if you lay it down, I recommend one shell, 100% infill. But I found when I tested my lithophane standing up that I wasn't able to get the visual acuity. 16 color depths is fine. It looks great. Oh, and the other thing I was going to mention on this, let's kill this. Let's come back out here. If you try slicing this and your slicer is going too slow, then go back and rewatch my decimate video. Because you can decimate, and I recommend you do, add a decimate modifier to this. Decimate, and reduce the points. You can often reduce the points by a lot. Let's reduce these by 0.5. And there you go. You can't even tell that anything bad has happened to it. Decimate off. Decimate. Honestly, there's no difference there. I could probably take it down considerably higher. But the other thing is, if you can't take it down low enough, and you're worried that the faces or something important is going to be lost, then use the trick I showed in the decimate modifier, where you select the points that you want to say, or actually you select all the points that you want to decimate, and you use this vertex group. You name those vertexes, you use the vertex group, and you only decimate the part that you don't care as much about. If there's trees in the background are terrible for lithophanes, because there are all sorts of color depths in there. We'll just select the trees, decimate just those, and they'll still be up and down, but they'll be a lot less up and down. Your slicer won't choke on it as hard. I recommend using that trick even if you've used another piece of software to create these lithophanes. So there we go. Lithophane, great Christmas idea, great 3D printing project, and they are just so darn cool. Huh, I don't get it. What is it? Wow. Every time. Make a lithophane because they're fun. Give them out to your friends and family for Christmas because they are wonderful. You don't have to use an ugly picture like my face for this one. You can use their pictures. People love to get their own pictures handed back to them in cool ways. I just did this one because I didn't want to offend anybody, except for all y'all who have to look at my ugly face. There it is. But lithophanes, cool stuff, and easy to do in Blender. Enjoy it. Make cool stuff. I hope that this helped people. Hey, I am nearly at 100 subscribers. I am so excited. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully next week when I have 100 subscribers, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I want to go back and thank the subscribers that I had since my last video. In fact, I want to go back just a little bit farther. I owe one of you guys a mispronunciation fix. Let me try it one more time. Let's see. Svetoslav Jerjanov. I hope I got it closer that time. Thank you guys for subscribing. Also, Seagamel Guard, James Barnett, Doug Reactor, who I know on the Google groups, but I would love to meet some of you guys in real life, and you're one of them, Doug Reactor. Sean Pence, Lupu, Mosolfos. Maybe I'll mispronounce your name next week. But thank you guys for being the wind beneath my wings and giving me the strength and inspiration to do this. You know what? And I don't want to leave anybody out. I want to meet all of you guys in real life. I just don't know when. But thank you guys. You guys are awesome. And I hope that you guys keep making awesome things. Thank you. Oh, where's the stop button?